Well, no.
What prohibits a man from settling down? If he has a woman at home that's willing to provide and do play house, that's willing to play house,
Or giving him all he needs.
giving him all he needs, what prohibits him from settling down? Is it fear of commitment or losing their identity? What are they afraid of? If there's a woman that's willing to accept who he is and actually be there for him, is willing to play house with him, what is it that prohibits him from engaging in it?
Switch gears for a minute. I think we want to ask some questions. I guess they're not so broadly social with relationships, but these are some of the questions that the women had about men. And I don't know if you find this to be true or not in your experience. Why are men so afraid of commitment? And I guess we're talking about between the ages of, I don't know, I guess maybe early 20s to late 30s.
Well, each man is an individual, and I'm sure they all have very individual answers about that. I think that in our society, commitment is not as important to young men as it may be for women, at least initially. I think it's more important for older men. But many men are not sure that things might not be different or better if they remain open. Many men, even if they find a woman that they're in a very good partnership with and it's very functional, it works very well, wonder if there might be a better partnership out there if they wait. Many young men have huge fantasies about what type of women are waiting for them if they remain open to the possibilities. Sometimes men see images in the media about relationships and they want that, and they want to wait for that. They may see very glamorized images of relationships. They see men in the media who, let's say, may be just ordinary men with ordinary jobs dating 6-foot-tall supermodels who just adore them and are looking at them and looking at every move. And they think, well, I'm going to hold out for that. And it takes a while for a man to realize, those images are really just made up and they don't exist. The regular George Costanzas don't date the supermodels, and just more experience with life often makes men think differently. But yeah, I think the commitment issue is because men think that there's a lot of women out there, and they wonder if there's more opportunity with them for women, and they don't want to close it off too quickly. Often.
Okay. Why do men marry women who are quiet, reserved type when they know themselves to be sexually uninhibited?
And how much do you think that is a reality?
I think it happens. I think that sometimes some men who may think about sex a lot, be very sexually active or want to be sexually active, who are very broad sexually in what they want to experience, sometimes that actual way of being, that actual tendency can actually scare the man himself. He may look at other people and wonder, are they thinking about sex as much as I am? Am I the only one obsessed with this? And it can frighten them, and they're not sure they would want to be with someone who is the same way, or that's all they would be doing all the time, 24 hours a day, and it would worry him. And there are men who think that if I'm with a woman who is less sexually concerned, less sexually obsessed, she'll help me bring my tendencies into line, and we'll focus on other things together. Of course, that may not actually happen. And then he's in a relationship where he's frustrated and she's confused and doesn't know why. Other times, I think men may just be average men sexually. A lot of men, of course, like sex. But they may not trust a woman who is as sexually preoccupied as themselves. They may worry if they can satisfy her, if they can keep her at home. they may worry that she'll be interested in other men, especially men who, let's say, are committed to a woman, but they look at other women and they may even approach other women sexually. They would be concerned about their partner doing the same thing. So they think the answer to that is to mate with someone, to be with someone who is not as sexually preoccupied as they are. If they meet a woman who says, get away from me, stop touching me so much, let's calm down there. They go, okay, I want to be with her because I know she won't be interested in other men. I can provide her more sex than she needs, and she'll stay at home in that regard. And I think that's what some men think as to why they do that. I think it's probably better for men and women to look for sexual compatibility and just to build up the trust they have with each other and to look to themselves for their sexual needs rather than to purposely look for someone who's different sexually.
I had a question came to me maybe a couple weeks ago. It's a little bit off, but how come in our educational system that there's not a focus on how we need to treat each other or relationships within it? There's nothing in, and we need to learn this from just come all the way from elementary, middle school,
agree.
high school, college. But there's nothing, that states the way we need to treat each other or the way you need to be when you're in a relationship, and some of the concerns that you need to, start thinking about, so that when you're actually married, a lot of these problems, not saying they won't occur, but you'll know how to deal with them a lot better. And we don't have that in our educational system at all.
Our educational system is very focused on academics, on teaching children what they need to know in the books, reading, writing, thinking, rationalizing, in ways that fit the academic structure. A lot of our education is directed towards vocational skills. And I guess many taxpayers feel that that is what our academic system, our educational system should be doing, is focusing on academics. However, there are those who feel that the educational system should also focus on health, teaching children about health. And I am a big proponent, I know many people are, teaching people about relationships, the community as well as personal relationships. I think that all of us, black, white, gay, straight, all folks, would end up in more healthy relationships if we started teaching about relationships in school. Starting in elementary school, teaching about friendships, teaching about bullying, teaching about being friends with kids, teaching about different nationalities and ethnicities there at the school, and making friendships. Then moving through junior high, teaching about romantic relationships, teaching people about healthy, functional relationships. I know it's controversial, but I think people should be taught about the different sexualities so that there can be more acceptance, and helping people find out who they are and how they can have the right relationships for themselves. And then in high school, I would like to see more in-depth education about developing healthy, romantic, long-term relationships, or if that's not for everyone, how to have healthy relationships that are short-term, that are honest, or being single for life, which I think needs to be understood as an option for many people. I also would like to see parenting classes in high school, talking to young people about co-parenting, married parenting, all the different types of parenting, and doing what's best for babies and children themselves for the next generation. But yeah, I do think that issues of healthy relationships should be taught in school. And what I'd also like to see is the possibility of teaching about healthy relationships after school, while we're waiting for the schools to perhaps take up that topic themselves. I do know that there's some organizations that are starting to teach children about financial management after school, so I'd like to see the same things happen for relationships. I know that there are many organizations that have rites of passages, programs, and that sort of thing. I'd like to see those same types of programs after school or in the summertime teach young people about having healthy relationships.